Morning everybody, or later in the morning I guess. July 1st today. I got this agitator pump and then the tanker back that we used earlier this spring, if you've seen our one earlier video where we were taking this level of this pit down some. I got the 1066 on the pump this time and the 1256 on the tanker, which is opposite of what I did last time. The reason I did that is because I need the hydraulics on this to run the nozzle up and down and stuff. So the 1256 has one of the valves under the seat for the hydraulic remotes is leaking pretty bad when you're using it, and I haven't gotten that fixed yet. So that's the only reason I switched them around. So we had this stirred up last night. I'm just going to we're going to haul a few loads out of here to get back down so that the inlet pipe that comes from the barn, so we get that opened up again, because I'm going to try to jet that again. So because the sand that we were getting out of there, I talked to the dealer and he said that that's kind of common. That's probably what's causing our plug, because he's never seen he's seen one in his whole career, one line actually rupture. So we're going to try this again. So if we only had smell-o-vision. Hey everybody, it's July 3rd here in about just before 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the field. I took a little video of us tank spreading that liquid manure again on here. This is about 10 acres I think, and I think my brother, he finished. I think he pretty much covered the whole field, so that was actually way more than I figured we were going to get out. I think we took about 12 loads out of there, and this actually should be some pretty rich manure. I didn't spread it as heavy as I did on that other field, because this I think had a lot more concentrated manure in it. So we keep getting a little rain now. Actually it looks like there's some rain right there, but I don't know if this batch is going to make it quite this far over. But they're talking some rain next week coming, so that'll be nice. There should definitely be a second crop out here then with this manure on there. And actually the corn, I'm hoping to spread some top dress, some fertilizer on it this weekend now, try to get that rain on there. The corn actually is looking really nice now. That rain was really helped. And boy, it's about 92 degrees, but you can feel the wind picking up from this rain and that cool breeze. It really feels nice. Morning everybody, it's 4th of July today. Happy 4th of July to everybody out there. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to give you a little update on our manure system and what we've got going on here. In the previous video we had the jetter here and we were jetting the line. For those who haven't seen, we've got previous videos last winter that our underground line is plugged. So anyway, we were jetting it and then we were getting pure sand back out the line. So I assumed that the line had a hole in it and we were getting sand, because we don't bed with sand or anything. Well, so I dug up, Connor came over with his excavator and we dug up a spot in the pipe where I thought it could be broken. A place that we had spliced once previously years ago. We dug that up, that was all okay, splices looked good. So I called the dealer and talked to him about it, and he said that sand is common. He said that's probably where our plug actually is. Just from years of cows coming in the barn, dragging in sand, it gets sloughed off in the pipe and eventually you get a clog. especially if you run some drier material bedding through there or something. So he recommended having the jetter come back out. So we rented the tanker and pump again that we used this spring, because the level one here had gone back up. We'd gotten some rain and had been still pumping manure in overhead. If you can see our overhead pipe there, but so we got the level dropped back down. This is the end of the pipe. I actually got the level down a little lower than we had it earlier. So there's the white pipe coming in under the ground, and there's a box at the end. This door is actually supposed to be flipped down under these latches. It's all bent. That's like to prevent it from flowing back if something happens, but that's the way it sounds pretty common that those don't work. But anyway, so this is where we're going to go in with the jetter again. Like I said, I got it cleaned out a lot better here, so it should be a little easier to run. It's supposed to be like 92 degrees today, so I think it's already like 75 now, so this should be kind of a fun day. But anyway, that's what we're going to do here. We're going to see if we can get this opened up. I hope this is the problem, because this has kind of been a fiasco, but so he should be here probably in 20 minutes, half hour, and we'll get started.
Here we go, round 2. Fingers crossed.
Stuff, you know, on the floor of the lagoon. So
Oh yeah, Alan dug down. He said there was about 6 inches of just gritty lime. Okay, so that was tank load number 1, and I could
I think 500 gallons.
500 gallons, and I'm pretty sure I could hear it in the barn. So he's gonna run 1 more tank load of water through it.
Let's see what we get out now. Some manure.
Yeah, it's just sand colored.
Yeah, I had this all cleaned out before we started.
Oh yeah? Yeah, that looks like sand. Whew, I'm getting sweaty just watching you.
You get to do the next load, so.
No. Look at your shirt, it's soaked.
Yeah, that might not be sweat either.
It's not sweat. That's gross.
Want a hug?
No, I don't want a
Sure.
hug. This is tank number 2. Yeah, they're starting to get some straw and stuff pulling back on the hose, so we ran the pump a little bit after they ran out of water at the first tank, so maybe it moved that clog. There's still lots of sand though coming. Happy 4th of July, everybody. In between the tank loads of jetting the pipe, Isabel calved. Nice bull calf.
Right, I'm going to give you a little update on our jetting situation. We kind of cut that footage short because we started having some trouble. The first couple of loads of water we jetted in, it seemed like it went pretty good. We were gaining ground again. Starting to get some hay and stuff, material back out. But we were getting still a lot of sand. And when I'm running that hose in, I run it in a little ways and pull it back, keep it moving so it's not building up behind the nozzle and packing it in around the pipe. And you can kind of see here the hose comes out and it goes around and then it goes back up. Well, it goes all the way up. I don't know if you can see with the sun there, but the jetter's up on the bank. Well, anyway, let's see where it comes around, comes out of there, comes around over to right here. I had tape here. Now this was from the last time that we jetted it. This was as much hose as we had in the pipe. And this time we were actually further than that, yet the first 2 tank loads of water. But on the 3rd tank load of water, we got in just this far. So, like I said, there's probably 15 to 20 feet of hose left out here yet that hadn't been in there before. I went to pull the hose back out and it was stuck. It wouldn't come. My dad was down here helping me run the hose. I told him it was stuck, so we both grabbed. We couldn't move it. So he stopped the jetter and he tried pulling it back in with the reel on the jetter, the hose reel, and we couldn't pull it. So I got a hold of Connor. His excavator was here yet. So he came over. We brought the excavator down here, wrapped the hose on the bucket, and he tried stretching the bucket and pulling it, and it would not pull. So it's definitely hooked on something in there. Now my theory on this is that there's a hole in the pipe and that nozzle has gone through the hole and that's what it's stuck on. Anyway, so we kind of had a rough idea of how much hose we had in there. So we dug a hole in the corral over the pipe outside the barn. We're about probably 10 feet from the outside of the barn wall, maybe 12. I cut a hole in the pipe there and reached in, and the hose is going beyond that yet towards the barn. The end piece of hose with the nozzle on it's about 10 feet. It's a different kind of hose than this. It's a little bit rougher, and it didn't feel like that hose yet. Now another part that concerns me that there's a hole in it is once you get inside the barn wall, it's only about another 10 feet to the pump. Well, there is probably 15 to 20 feet of hose here yet. So it didn't come up in the pump. So my theory is that to have that much hose left to go in there, if the end is already to the barn floor, it left the pipe. So I don't know. I've been kicking this around. I talked to the dealer again. If there's trouble under the barn floor, he said it is a nightmare to try to undermine that floor. He's done a couple of them. I had to work on stuff under there, especially with this sandy ground. If you want to dig a hole 2 feet wide, you've got to dig a hole 15 feet wide just because it wants to cave in so bad. Plus, that building is a pole building, that barn, so you're going to be digging a lot of dirt out from under your poles. So I think what we're going to do now, Connor's working out of town this week. He's going to come back, I think, Saturday. We're going to dig outside the barn. I'm going to go cut the hole in the pipe again, try to get his jetter freed up so he can get that out of here. And if there isn't something obvious, sorry about the sun, if there isn't something obvious there that I can fix from there, if it's going to be something that we're going to have to go way under the floor, I'm thinking about just getting a manure auger. I talked to the dealer about if something like that would work in this situation. Basically, you fill in some of the, sorry about the sun again, I'm going to turn this way. You fill in some of the pump, what you want to call it, hopper in the barn, and then you set that auger under the barn cleaner. It'll come out the wall. You'd have to haul manure every day, obviously, which I know that's not ideal. I mean, especially in the wintertime, it can be a pain, but this is a pain too. You know, last winter we wound up having to clean barn by hand half the winter and trying to haul it out. So, you know, I know it's not perfect, but I do have a, what they call, I don't know exactly the name for it, a chain spreader, I guess you would say, instead of a box spreader. So it's got a drum in the middle with like flail chains on it. It's kind of made more for cleaning barn every day. So I don't know, I'm kind of looking into that. I found a neighbor that's got one that was only used like 1 year. I could get that pretty reasonable price. But I guess it all kind of depends on what we find here. Like I said, I'm not gonna, you know, rip the entire floor and everything out of the barn and try to figure out what's going on there. And just, you know, that's, to me, I guess, going to be way more of a headache than just putting in a manure auger and saying the heck with it. And, you know, I think one thing that would be an option in the wintertime, because with the manure auger, you can run it fairly soupy manure too. I could still, you know, back the spreader up over the edge of the lagoon and run it in here over the winter if I had to. So that's another option, but I guess right now it's kind of wait and see what we find there when we can get Connor back here to dig and try to get his hose out of there. But with the amount of hose that we've had in that pipe before, and knowing how close we are to the barn now, there's something else going on. It had to have left the pipe, because the way the jetter nozzle is made, it's got one stream of water that shoots straight out the end at high pressure, and then it's got like 6 streams that come out behind the head blowing backwards. And what they do is they blow the material that comes loose backwards in the water out the pipe, and they also keep the hose going forward and keep it straight. So, and as heavy a hose this is under the pressure, I don't think there's any way that hose could have turned in there. I don't know, somebody suggested that maybe the jetter blew a hole in the pipe. I don't know. I don't have enough experience with them. Maybe that's possible. I don't know. I've never had that issue. But so anyway, that's what's going on for now with this. And we're just gonna have to, like I said, we're gonna have to dig it up there and see what we can find. But until then, we're just gonna work on some other stuff. I got some oats on that state ground. They're actually heading out, but I'm still gonna cut them for hay, because I can use, they make good dry cow and heifer hay. I've got my little International round baler there. I use that for baling, like making baleage and well, kind of like not green chop, but green feeding hay. So I might start that tomorrow, cutting some of that. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, so that's it for now. I just kind of wanted to touch on where we were at with this manure system here.
So what did you see?
I saw 2 little chicks on that chicken. Careful.
Oh, I see 3 chicks.
Oh, 3? I only saw